My name is Dheeraj. My question is to Mr. Fyodor. In case Russia loses the war, where does it sees its future? Moving closer to Europe and being integrated in the European security architecture, or moving closer to China and effectively becoming its junior partner? Thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Dheeraj Yadav. My question is to Minister Rajiv Chandrasekhar. Sir, we have seen in the past that how social media giants like Twitter bans and breaks Indian rules and guidelines. So suppose at the time of elections, some social media giants deplate firms or ban senior political leader of a party, then what will be government of India's response to that? And sir, my second question is, what steps are government of India taking to become Atmanirbhar, self-reliant in the chips apart from the Foxconn Vedanta deal? Thank you, sir.
Well, thank you.
My question is to Mr. Amitabh Kant. Sir, we talk a lot about millets, and we are also celebrating the International Millets Year in 2023. We are also gifting, millets packs to the G20 delegates. But when it comes to taking action on the ground, government, seems absent. So FCI mostly procures wheat and rice through its quotas and not millets. So why don't we increase the quota of millets in FCI procurement and distribute them through PDS and midday meals? Thank you, sir.
Okay, so I think...
No, that was a very, very important question because we must realize that India was, when we started the Green Revolution, India was extremely short of food. We were importing food from the United States of America under a scheme called PL 480. We have over the years, because we supported wheat and rice production in the country, we are now not only self-sufficient, we export food to other countries. But in the process, what has happened is that wheat and rice consume a lot of water. Now, what we are trying to do as a country is that we are trying to bring behavioral change, and millet is a very major part of this. So we made United Nations, we worked with the United Nations to declare 2023 as the year of millets. And now we're focusing on ensuring that every state, every G20 meeting, every area, we push for millets, which are very rich in iron and protein and calcium and consume hardly any water. And that is what we'll continue to do. And several states are now pushing for midday meals, etc., through moving away from wheat and rice and using millets. We'll keep pushing for millets and more schemes of the government. You can rest assured, but all this must be done simultaneously with behavioral change so that people start demanding that. If you try and push too many things from the top, you will have a reaction. And therefore, you need to make things like a people's movement, create a Jan Andolan, and that is what we are trying to do. Create people asking for millets is the best way to take it forward.
Thank you.
It's about social media. And the answer to that question is, I don't think it's possible anymore. We have now created a framework of rules and laws that restrict the wiggle room for social media platforms to do what they've been doing for some years now, and we found out recently with these Twitter exposés. So I think we are quite clear that if there is any arbitrariness in the way platforms respond to citizens of India, the rules that we have just enacted will kick in, and at the very minimum, they will lose the safe harbor that they enjoy from prosecution under the law. So that's the first question. The second question was about a fab, and I can certainly say that, without getting into too much detail, that we will be announcing the government support for a fab very shortly. It's a CMOS fab, and the due diligence and the process, given the amount of capital and the complexity of the technology that is being transferred to the fab, is currently under scrutiny. But for those who are looking forward to it, good news is around the corner.
I have got a very interesting question concerning situation if Russia would lose the war, and it's common Western narrative that Russia should lose and it will lose. But what if not? What if Russia would win the war? How can the situation, not only in Russian-Ukrainian relations, but between Russia and NATO, Russia and the EU, can be changed? And I think that we are underestimating the very low level of empathy towards Russia, and from Russian side also. And in case we would have more empathy, Minsk agreements would survive. I'm among those experts who developed framework for Minsk agreements. I was among those who have been writing some ideas for Minsk agreements. And how could I feel myself after Chancellor Angela Merkel, after Mr. Francois Hollande are openly saying that it was, cheating about Russia, and the only attempt of Minsk agreements was to have more time for Ukraine to develop, to prepare for war with Russia. Who would believe such guarantees anymore? I think that Russian officials would not believe any European guarantees at all. And we need, if we need to find political solution, diplomatic solution, we need to engage the United States, who ignored Minsk agreements. They worked together with Russians on the text of Minsk agreements, but they ignored the Minsk process. They relied on Europeans, and Europeans are telling us what they were doing. We need to China probably and India be engaged as a guarantees of the peace agreement or whatever will happen, but it will take lots of time, and lots of people will die and suffer. And I completely agree with Jane that war is not the weather, and situation we're having now is because nobody wanted to listen to each other. In 2013, we have started with divergation, with different positions about trade agreements, association for Ukraine with the EU, or association with Eurasian Union. And where we are now, very far from trade negotiations, which could resolve this issue easily in 2013. And then what has happened in Kiev in 2014, so-called revolutionary of dignity, we call it another way. And what has happened, and why Crimea decided to be with Russia and not with Ukraine. Without any victim, nobody died when Crimea joined Russia. Nobody died, and 12,000 of Ukrainian troops located in Crimea at that time, most of them converted into Russian military and decided to serve in Russian army. Thank you.